Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time again for this week's Unfiltered News from the Reality Zone, where political correctness is not spoken here. Compiled by G. Edward Griffin and his News Scouts for the week of January 11th through the 17th, 2014. Sorry I'm being late, but I had to restore my system after having it polluted by adware. I couldn't put up with it anymore, so I just factory reinstalled it, and here I am. This week's comic strip is this guy walking by, this Uncle Sam laying there with a newspaper saying 49.7 million in poverty. The president wasn't lying when he said he was going to fundamentally transform America. And that's cuckoo. That really is cuckoo. That's about as cuckoo as you can get. I knew they went totally nuts. We have a president that now claims he's a dictator. That's cuckoo. He basically says, I can supervise around Congress and pencil whip any law I want, and I have a phone. So I can just call up and verbally make laws and go around Congress. Well, Congress doesn't have any part of saying it's okay or anything. He just does what he wants, and that's a sign of a dictator. I know it's all corporates that's running him. Therefore, it's corporate fascism is what we're under now. Alright, the first article for this week's Unfiltered News is: the Christmas cyber attack on Target shoppers' credit cards was part of a much larger security breach of a number of U.S. companies that have not yet been publicly identified. Traces of Russian language were detected in the malware. Russia Today, January 17th. Well, what comes out on that is that somebody used a malware in Russia that was made in Russia as part of whatever they made up to get into the system and steal all the credit card numbers and identities. Yeah, that's what they do. How they do it. They take pieces, parts, and put them together, and you get something better. And so they think it's some 17-year-old in Russia that's been unidentified. And it's hearsay on top of that. So I think it's all part of the government mad at Russia and is trying to blame it on them. And it's not Russia's fault, because somebody took a piece of one program and put it with another one and made this hackware. Anyways, next, California Governor Jerry Brown proposed using $250 million in cap-and-trade revenues to pay for the $68 billion bullet train from Los Angeles to San Francisco that a judge previously ruled illegal due to lacking of funding. Fox, January 17th. Oh, wow. We're just surrounded by criminals. I'm telling you. California's broke, and then they want to put in a bullet train. I don't know where they're getting the money at. Must be dirty money. Okay, here we go again. UN climate chief says communism is best for fighting global warming. Really? We would say it differently. The political myth of global warming is best for building communism instead of what he said. Actually, it's a carbon tax from Chicago Bureau. There was an article in the Post talking about blood and gore and how they have to climb down on climate change because of all the freezing weather we're having, and they keep trying to come up with this crap, and this is where it is, that the air is warmer in the north, so it's pushing it to the south. Well, no, it's actually the opposite under the second law of thermodynamics. They're trying to turn physics on its head. And if you don't know the second law of thermodynamics, you'd probably believe something like that. But it's really the other way around. They have this thing. It's called the instant cooling of your can, and the nickname was the dead Indian trick, but that's just what it was called when I heard it. And you take ice, get a nice warm beer or Coke, stick it in the ice until just the top is sticking out of the ice in an ice bucket, and you spin it for 1 minute. The cold air goes rushing in to where it's warm, and the warm air comes out. So basically, they're saying it does the opposite. So I guess if I put a pot of water on the stove and put it on low, I can wait for a while and I'll have frozen water sitting on the stove in an hour or so. Yes, this is the insanity of what they're talking about. It's this upside down physics. They're just anything to get more money out of your pocket and put it in theirs. It's a scam. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a it's the Madoffs got away with the money plan. That's what it is. Anyways, God, they're crazy. I'm telling you. They must really think they got everyone fluoridated enough that they don't know any better. That was hot air, January 16th. I just blows me away when I hear this stuff. I don't. Does anyone out there actually believe we're having global warming right now when it's getting real cold, and it's all in the northern hemisphere, and it's becoming records even in places it's naturally cold? I mean, southern Switzerland is going to be at -10. Yeah, it's global warming. In the United States and northern United States, it's supposed to get down to like -6 with a wind chill of over 14 or something like that. So yeah, sure. You guys keep dreaming, Gore, that you're going to rob people of their money and put in your pocket, all because you made $100 million off of Europe so far with this scam. Which now the UK says he can't take his film into schools and show it his climate lie without showing apparently the global warming swindle, and because you have to have both points. They say if they show just his film, they will arrest him if he ever goes over to the UK for showing that in a classroom or during some conference or whatever in public. Anywho, video. U.S. 34 nuclear missile Air Force officers have been suspended after they were caught cheating on a proficiency exam. Really? Is that really so, or are they just disarming us? Basically. Remember, back when Bush was in there, it said, oh no, actually it was back when Clinton was in there, that we would absorb the first strike. And before we retire against the enemy. And this must be part of the plan going into action. That's a video. CNN, January 16th. Yes. Video. The Catholic Church has refused to provide the UN with information about sexual abuse of children by priests. It says that the UN has no jurisdiction in this matter, and that such inquiries are properly channeled through the governments of the countries where the alleged abuse has occurred. Well, if you do a little research on the UN, they have a bunch of pervs in the UN, and so it's like the kettle calling the pot calling the kettle black, basically, is what's going on here. Press TV, January 16th. Next, U.S. A district court judge has ruled that no-fly lists are unconstitutional. The ruling required the government to remove a student's name from the list because it was placed there in error, and it requires that those on the list be so notified. InfoWars, January 16th. Yes, they're starting to catch up. I mean, when you have a 3-year-old child, it's on a no-fly list, there's something wrong. There's just something wrong with the system. Okay, next. Syria. Video. The UN Human Rights Commission says that executions performed by U.S.-supported rebels against civilians and soldiers violated international law and may be considered as war crimes. Press TV, January 16th, and they'll probably start rounding up these rebels that are being paid by our government, and I think UK was throwing some money at it, and well, some people's heads are going to roll here, because it's going to go back straight to the top of the White House, and that would be Obama, the long-legged Mac Daddy, the guy who lies. I mean, if you hear him say something he's going to do and it sounds real good, think the opposite, because that's what happens every time. And he's been doing this for how many years? 6 years? Something of that nature? For 5 years? I mean, he's been lied about everything. He's a compulsive liar. And it's a proven fact. All you have to do is listen to what he said and then look around and see what's happening, and it's not what he said. He said he's going to get rid of the, or put a handle on the NSA. He's going to increase it. Believe me, you. Next, video. U.S. Senate panel says that the Benghazi massacre could have been prevented if the State Department under Hillary Clinton's direction had provided adequate precautions. This is a whitewash, as expected. There is no hint of the reason adequate precautions were not provided, and the assumption behind this finding that everyone did their best was never challenged. Press TV, January 15. Alrighty. In Mojacan, Mexico, the Mexican military opened fire on civilians, killing at least 4, including an 11-year-old girl. The soldiers say that they were trying to restore security to the area after citizens organized a self-defense vigilant groups against a local drug cartel called Knights Templar. Citizens say the police and the government have become partners with the cartels. New American, January 15th. See how the criminality is spreading like a disease to every government official across there. I mean, when the top gets away with this stuff, all the ones underneath think the little government fishies think they can get away with it. Anyway, video. As part of a settlement package with victims of sex abuse, the Archdiocese of Chicago is releasing documents about its knowledge of these crimes. Documents will show that the Archdiocese's role in allowing priest offenders to remain in positions where they could continue molesting children, and this may lead to massive lawsuits by victims and their parents. Press TV, January 15th. See, it's all this corruption is starting to come down. It's starting to fall apart. They try to move too quickly now, and because they're way behind. All this stuff was supposed to happen back in 2000. Well, it didn't happen. And so they're trying to catch up now, and they're making one mistake after another. And they're crumbling. Their new world order is crumbling. It's actually falling apart on them. And they may stage something drastic to get everyone back in line. Believing the government's your savior. It will save you. It's God, don't you know? That's what they claim, basically. I mean, when they have Obama's picture in a classroom and they're pledge allegiance to Obama, there's something wrong there, you know, to the Führer, and that's what it's become. Anyways, video. The U.S. has fallen off the list of the top 10 freest economies to number 12. The same loss of freedom has occurred in non-economic matters, such as freedom of speech, privacy, and travel. This is the result of government regulations, which are the hallmark of all collectivist. Underline that word, collectivist. It's a very accurate word for what communist was. It's people at the top who get all the money, and everyone else works to give in to them a share. That's basically unofficial royalty. But, you know, the collectivist state. Fox, January 15th. Anywho, U.S. Senator Mike Lee published a photograph of the 2013 Federal Register containing 80,000 pages of new rules and regulations written and passed by unelected bureaucrats. Faceless bureaucrats. These are just the new ones for last year. Town Hall posted January 15. Yes, they're faceless. These people are unelected. They're faceless bureaucrats you've never seen, and they're in power. They've been appointed without your consent, which is total violation of the Constitution. I mean, you just don't do that. They've been doing it for such a long time and not doing it with such drasticness that people have let it slide. Well, it's time not to let it slide and start enforcing the Constitution and the Bill of Rights back onto the government, because that's how we control them. We have to pull the reins back in on them. They're running wild. Anyway, Washington State introduced a bill to oppose the NSA by prohibiting state and local governments from providing material support to the NSA, including water and electricity, which if they cut the water off and not the electricity, those computers, supercomputers, are going to go pop. And that's what's going to happen there. Those circuits are going to overheat and burn out. California, Oklahoma, and Indiana introduced similar legislation, but Washington is the first state that has a known NSA facility within its borders. 10th Amendment Center. Yes, the 10th Amendment, that's the states have rulership over their own sovereignty and not a 60 square mile area called District of Criminals in Washington, D.C., the District of Criminals. January 15th. Yes, and they can do that. All they have to really do, they don't really have to cut the power. They can just cut the water, they cut the water off, and they can take out the entire system. And because it takes a lot of water to cool those supercomputer processors down. Okay, video. A new report from Scotland Yard says that the Freemasons in law enforcement and judiciary system often cooperate with organized crime to their mutual benefits. Right. Press TV, January 15th. Has a lot to do with the higher order of the Masons. Also. See, the fraternity is, you're all for them. Your little gang. It's basically a gang. With order and robes and ceremony and rituals, but it's a gang. Anyways, next. Tennessee. A bill is being introduced to block the implementation of the Obamacare by prohibiting cooperation by the state and its agencies with the federal health care program. Georgia has introduced a similar legislation, and South Carolina plans to amend its present legislation to look more like these states. 10th Amendment Center, again, the states have power. Not the 60 square mile area called District of Criminal. Their only purpose there is if two states have a dispute, they're supposed to be like the referee in it and settle it, not make orders and pass laws like they're doing to surpass the states. Each state should make their own laws, not the 60 square mile of District of Criminals. Alright, January 15th. A lot of stuff happened on January the 15th. U.S. Court of Appeals struck down the FCC's net neutrality rule that required internet service providers to be neutral in their restrictions on bandwidth, even though some websites like Netflix use enormous amounts of it. Instead of getting a volume discount or a high-speed premium, now they will have to pay the same as smaller users. This will cost millions more, which of course will be paid by the users. The hidden story here is that the FCC now will have additional power to regulate the internet, but the media is ignoring that issue. USA Today, January 15th. Right, they're ignoring it. Like usual. They're above the law, don't you know? Merrick continues to market Zalmax, a drug fed to cattle to make the animals gain weight before slaughter. Zalomex has been linked to loss of hooves, lameness, brain lesions, blindness, stomach ulcers, heart failure, and sudden death. And you know there's residue in all the meat that you eat. Dr. Mercola recommends that meat eaters insist on grass-fed organic beef. So again, you're being poisoned through your food. Mercola, January 15th. Let that soak in a little bit. U.S. The Electronic Frontier Foundation, or the EFF, is mounting a citizens' campaign to push back against a proposed bill to fast-track trade treaties. The bill would allow the president to negotiate trade treaties entirely without approval by Congress. In fact, Congress and the people need not even know about them. EFF posted January 14th. See, they're trying to... that's another one of those pencil whip fascism things that our glorious dictator is going about with. No, they're bypassing Congress. I don't even know why Congress is there. They might as well just go home and retire or something. Because now the president has the power of the law and a pen and a phone. Anyways, U.S. health insurers and Obamacare will need to be bailed out with taxpayer funds because only 489,460 people in the 18 to 34 year age range have signed up for the program. That is far short of the 2.7 million of these young and healthy customers need to fund the program for everyone else. Fox, January 14th. That's not the only thing. There's a guy, it says that the Obamacare website has such a weak... I mean, he went in with his browser and got 70,000 patient records off of there. And he did it under confidentiality that he didn't sell it or anything, but he's bringing it to Congress to show them, look, this website's a joke. I went in with a browser, he says, and got these 70,000 patients and all their medical records. I mean, that's from whatever information you put in there. Yeah, there you go. There it is. More criminal activity. A hacker's dream. And I guess Obama must be paying back somebody somewhere. I don't know what they would be using that for, except maybe, if people have mental illness, you can't have a gun because, see, it says here. How did you find that out? How did you find out about that lady in Canada that had depression and you wouldn't let her go on her boat ride from the March of Dimes? Jeez, it's just one criminal thing after another. I mean, you can't look at it's somebody getting money out of all that, and a lot of it. And you can probably guess who the people are. Maine joined Connecticut in passing a bill requiring GMO foods to be labeled as such. Good for Maine. However, it is contingent upon 5 other states adopting similar legislation. Story leak, January 14th. And that's what needs to be happening. Exactly. We can't be eating this GMO. They keep bringing that study back up from the French study. And there's been other scientists, independent, that did the same study using the same method. And they said, 180 days, these rats have organ failure, tumors all in them, and, lesions and all types of stuff. Basically dying from GMO. Okay, at least the Roundup is killing them. Video. Fullerton, California. 6 police officers beat a schizophrenic homeless man who later died after 5 days in a coma. 2 of the police were charged with murder and manslaughter, but then acquitted by a jury. Juries don't have a sense. They need to know. Apparently the judge guided the jury. Despite the disturbing video evidence, members of the city council were recalled in an election because they attempted to prevent the surveillance videos from being made public. InfoWars, January 14th. See, a cop can do no wrong. He's a Roman soldier, don't you know? And they can do no wrong. They're a Roman soldier with a badge and a gun. Next, Japan. Fish caught off the coast of Fukushima are registering 124 times the safe radioactive limit, RT, January 13th. And I believe that's not only cesium 137, but also strontium 90, which is definitely deadly if you get that in your system. That's why they're saying if you get canned goods from stores near where a nuclear weapon went off, don't eat it. It's full of strontium 90 in it. Okay. Video. U.S. A federal judge has upheld Constitution-free zones as constitutional. Unbelievable. Federal judge should be fired. He doesn't know law. You can't do that. The government now can search anyone's portable computer or communications device without a warrant and even suspicion of wrongdoings, so long as it is done within 100 miles of the national border. Now that the principle is established, it will be easy to extend the zone to 200 miles, then 500 miles, then the entire country. Why not? It's for national security, you know. Don't you know? Fox, January 13th. Yeah, that's called going into a police state. Tyranny. It's called they don't care about the Constitution anymore, which is the only thing that keeps you from going to jail for jaywalking and being harassed by police officers. Just go up to New York and watch them, what they do to the citizens up there. That's going to be the whole country. Anyways, China says it will seize China's South Sea Island from the Philippines, which is supported by the U.S. China says that military force will be limited to the island, but 6 different countries claim ownership. No one except a full war to ensue. But stranger things have happened. Zero Hedge, January 12th. Yeah, they wanted it. I believe the United States wants to get in war with China. Because once we're in war, we don't have to pay back the debt we owe China. And China owes a large chunk, over, I think about 50 or a little over 50% of the debt that our country has accumulated. And they're trying to hedge off having to pay that back. Because in war, all bets are off on loans and everything between the enemy and between enemies, I guess. Next, documents dating back 50 years show that the U.S. Army has tested crop-destroying biological weapons in Japan, Taiwan, and even within the United States. Japan Times, January 12th. Oh yeah, they just, like Agent Orange. Oh yeah. Very well-known chemical used back in the day, and they got new ones now. Video. U.S. Rabbi Jack Maline of the National Jewish Democratic Council criticized the AIPAC or IPAC Israeli lobby for using strong-arm tactics to intimidate U.S. senators into supporting fresh sanctions against Iran. Press TV, January 12th. Yeah, that's what they're all about. That and the Southern Law Problems. And the Southern Property Law Center. Yeah, they do the same tricks, same exact things. Oh well. Anyone that questions Israel on anything is anti-Semite. Well, I want to tell you, if they can question me and say they don't agree with me, what am I going to say? You're being anti-Goyim. Yeah, that's it, anti-Goyim. You're being anti-Goyim. That's a sin against God and the universe, too. Yeah, we'll just turn it around on them. We'll start playing their little anti-Semite game and call it the anti-Goyim game. Because that's what they treat us as and look at us as. We're substandard beneath them. And they believe that. They've been brought up to believe that. They're the Aryan race, don't you know? The Israeli Aryan race. Video. UK. A Scotland Yard report leaked to the media reveals that Britain's criminal justice system is infiltrated by criminals who buy off jurors or threaten them for advantageous verdicts. Corrupt police officers, intimidated witnesses, have sex with criminals, and accept bribes to destroy evidence. Press. TV, January 11th. Scotland Yard went corrupt. They're ones that covered up all the pervs over there. So, yeah, they're involved in that. Anyways, video. U.S. 59 senators support a bill to impose fresh sanctions on Iran, despite an agreement to the contrary between Iran and the P5+1 countries. This is evidence of the power of the Israeli lobby in Washington. Bernadette Meehan of the National Security Council says that the lawmakers simply want a war with Iran. Obama says he will veto the bill, but if the Senate gets a 67-vote majority, it will override a veto. Crest TV, January 11th. Well, what do you think all that, what is it, several $billion a year that we send over to Israel? What do you think they're using that money for? To come back to our senators and bribe them. I think they're using that for. That's our tax money. They're bribing our senators with our own money. It's the Israeli lobbyists. U.S. Thousands of surveillance cameras in cities across America have failed to reduce crime. Imagine that. That's because reducing crime is not their purpose. Their purpose is to monitor and control the activities of the average citizen. You know that. Much of the funding comes from the Department of Homeland Security. New American, January 11th. Man, it's just that bad. It really is. It's really that bad. Well, we are the terrorists since 9/11 because the government's so afraid of the people waking up and seeing all the evil they've been doing for 100 years that they're afraid for their lives. And so, we think they're buying all the ammo up and everything. You think they're just buying it up for fun? Oh no, every department's getting guns and ammo. They are absolutely terrified of the American people waking up, and we are waking up. And we will be awake, just like we'll have a new world order, and we will. I remember Bush Sr. saying that, and several others actually said that. I mean, there's several of them. Bush Sr. just comes to mind because it was one of his speeches that we'll have a new world order, and that will come to light, and it will. Well, if we wake up first, before they can get this totally implemented and get the invisible bars totally caged around us, we'll beat it. But unless we wake up. Or again, Israel, peace activist and son of an Israeli general, Michael, Peled, says that the death of the former Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon should be viewed as the death of a war criminal, not a national hero. Sharon was removed from office as defense minister for extreme brutality and several civilian massacres in 1982 in Lebanon. Michael Peled posted January 11th. Well, now they got a new dog in there. It's going to go after Iran, and that's Netanyahu. The boy who cries wolf all the time. You know, he's been crying wolf since 1985. That just amazes me. Netanyahu's been crying wolf. They're going to have a nuke next week. They're going to have a nuke next week. And he keeps going over that. And it's been since 1985, and there's no nuke. If anything, they already got fully operational missiles from Pakistan. And all they're waiting for is Israel to do something stupid, and they're going to release them. And, U.S. The EPA has declared that the city of Riverton, Wyoming, with a population of 10,000, is no longer part of the United States. Wow, they separated. The agency simply has given the town to a local Indian tribe that claims the land as their heritage. Wyoming's Governor Matt Mead is threatening to refuse to recognize the EPA's authority. The issue undoubtedly will end up in the courts. Free Patriot, January 11th. Wow. That's very interesting. But if you're still allowed to live there and everything, that means you're living in a free country. Wow. Absolutely free from the federalities and everything. That's pretty interesting. Now, to check out a calm down period, which they always throw this in. A video, an amazing underground church in Poland made from solid salt. I think I've seen this before. It's all made out of salt, carved out of a salt mine, like a salt dome. Interesting. Check that out. See, analysis, reports and commentaries that look beyond the news to identify historical facts and trends that help to place the news into perspective. The think tank section. Video. The FBI says it found no evidence to support criminal charges against the IRS for heavily scrutinizing conservative groups. Well, of course, that's like the pot judging the kettle. Oh, man. Judge Napolitano explains that this is probably is true because the law is written so loosely that anything can be done without actually breaking the law. Presidents from both Republican and Democrat parties use the IRS to attack their adversaries. That's their sick dog. That's their dogs. They sick on people. The sick dogs. They're sick, all right. Fox, January 14th. Here we go. Video. The 10th Amendment Center founder and Freedom Force Hall of Honor member Michael Bolden explains how states can thwart the NSA. The strategy simply is to deny state resources, such as water, electricity, and university services. Beneath the video image, there is an action plan for people who want to get involved in their own state. Offnow.org, January 11th. There it is. I'm telling you, they cut the water off, or cut the power off and the water off. Their system goes dark. They have no way of powering it up without having a power plant, because it uses so much energy. Ask Google how much energy it takes to run supercomputers. Nowhere to go. Click to enlarge. Imagine an endless desert like that. And that's it for this week. We got the humor. It had to happen. Blonde guy jokes. Oh no, instead of blonde girl, blonde women. Here's something. Proof at last. What happened to the mermaid? It got exposed to Fukushima radiation. Oh my golly, look at that. It's skeletized. Anyways, let's get down here to the Unfiltered forum, where you has, is the Monroe Doctrine good or bad? Well, that's it for the discussion this week and the news that you may have missed. You can check out the Reality Zone class. Check out the books on the right. These are all books that you need in your library. You even need that, the Silver Lung Generator. Boost immunity without toxic drugs. Cure yourself of H1N1 and other respiratory ailments. Cancer, the Forbidden Cures. Oh yeah, I watched that video. It's very, very good. Healthcare Rescue. And there you go. The real solution to healthcare. He explains the whole thing, how simple it is. You don't need to go and have a healthcare system. You just need to get vitamins. That's all you really need. Minerals. Trace minerals and vitamins is the key. We don't get anything in our food since they took a reading in 1950s, USDA, and they found out that the soil in the United States at least, and probably in other parts of the world, is depleted of minerals. So you're not getting your trace minerals. So you need at least to take trace minerals. Vitamins help also, because there's not enough vitamins in the food if it's processed highly. The second Dallas, the RFK, who killed RFK? And it gives you the proof that Sharon did not shoot him in the front. He was shot from behind. But that's beside the point. You're supposed to believe their story, their history that they created out of nothing. That's what we've been under for a long, long time. History, in their eyes, is called politically correct history. There you go. Dead wrong. How psychiatric drugs can kill your child. Who's who of the elite. Gives you a who's list. Laetrile, case histories, don't forget that one. World Without Cancer, don't forget that one. Why in the world are they spraying? The video, it shows the proof. Goes and talks to a bunch of meteorologists and climatologists, real ones, not the ones that want to charge you tax on your breathing. The Noble Lie, what really happened there in Oklahoma City in 1995. Let's see, The State of Mind, that's a very good one too. It's the psychology of control and how they're controlling your mind. Oh yeah, the Milan, what is it called? Milan Labé, how the Second Amendment guarantees America's freedom. That's an excellent video also. American Empire, an act of collective madness. There you go. And that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. The video, or the link to this newsletter will be in the See More. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Sorry I was late getting in on this. Like I said, I was doing rebooting my system, the factory, to get rid of malware and adware that I got on there by accident. I was getting the real site and I wasn't. It was somebody's mirrored site, and they were using it for mischief ways. And so I had to actually start the whole system up and reload everything back on, and that takes a couple of days to put all the material back on that I had on here, and I'm still working on that. So until next Friday, or Saturday, usually wait till Saturday, I want you to have a good week. Dress warm. It's going to be cold if you're in the northern part of the States, in Canada, in Switzerland, Norway, UK. You guys got to be all cold. You better bundle up, keep warm. Try to stay out of the negative 14s to 26 degrees below zero. That will freeze your skin in no time. Anyways, your fingers too. You get severe frostbite. Okay. Till then, be good at it, and have a good day.